Hello again. Earlier in the year, I did a quick unboxing of some old Staedtler Karat watercolor pencils. I drew a flower and I had some fun with the pencils. So I decided to see how they compare with my Derwent Inktense pencils. I'm using the 36 set of Derwent Inktense pencils. This is a good assortment of colors. Unlike watercolor, I've used these Inktense before, so there's probably a bit of a bias. I'll be doing another flower drawing. It is the same flower that I painted with the watercolors. As I've worked with the Inktense before and I have a color chart for them, I do find it easier to pick and choose the colors for trying to match the reference image. Early on, I do notice that the watercolors dissolved easier when I applied water. They also felt a little less grainy or rough when using the pencils. As the Inktense are quite thick pencils with thick leads, I don't find them ideal for drawing. When dealing with thick leads, I am reluctant to sharpen them often as I feel I'm wasting too much of the lead, and this results in using pencils more like I would use Inktense blocks rather than actual pencils. Many of the Inktense colors are far more intense than the watercolors. The yellows are certainly overpowering, but they do lighten up as most of the Inktense colors do when they dry. These intense colors can seem intimidating at first, but fortunately they fade as they dry. Yet another reason to have some color charts. Now it may be because it is the second time drawing the flower, but I do feel the Inktense are a little bit quicker and less layering is required. I didn't, however, go to the same effort as I did with the watercolors. I'm not trying to be perfect, just trying to get a feel for the two types of pencils in order to make a reasonable comparison. Now the Inktense flower is complete. If I compare that one with the watercolor one, we can see they're fairly similar. So the big difference is the watercolors tended to be less intense, kind of what you would expect from watercolors. Now this washed out look I did find actually quite appealing. I was able to get brighter colors by layering and using the pencils just dry. But it was more work than using the Inktense. I also found the watercolors were easier to work with when trying to correct mistakes or even to prevent them. The thing with Inktense is that they are more an ink and a permanent one. If you put a loaded brush containing a darker color and apply that to nice clean watercolor paper, you will create permanent blotches and or brush strokes that can be difficult or time consuming to fix. Now yes, you can lift the ink a little bit, but it's much easier to lift watercolors. I also found the Inktense final result to have a bit of a grainy look. The watercolors had a much smoother look. Now, I did spend about 30% more time on the watercolor drawing, but I don't think that was a huge factor. So, which one do I prefer? Well, one big question is, which one would perform better in light-fast tests? I know Inktense are reasonably light-fast. I have yet to test the Staedtler Karat watercolor pencils. For intensity or details, I'd be happy with both. As I tend to be a colored pencil artist, I'm almost always going to combine these with colored pencils to add contrast and get in the details. Now for a standalone product, I like the watercolors better. This is purely a personal thing. I really like the look of watercolors, and whenever I see good watercolor art, it is something that appeals to me, and it's something I would like to learn and do. Now, that's all for now. I've actually finished my next drawing. I had a bit of time off due to illness, but I'm feeling better now. Hopefully it'll stay that way. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe.